Hey friends, Jen here, single mom, artist, and entrepreneur, and this channel is all about building a life that you love and doing it all on your own. So I'm doing a little project today for my markets. So I always use one of these wooden crates as like my checkout stand, and I usually just throw a tablecloth over top of it, but the tablecloth that I have is way too big and I have to fold it up a bunch of times, and then the wind blows it around and it's really obnoxious. So today I want to make a cover for this box, and I've already cut out my material. So I just measured my box and cut a piece that will fit here and on the sides, and there's room for me to do about a 1/2 inch seam on the edges and a 1/2 inch seam all the way around. So we're going to get to work sewing. Get this out of the way. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sew a little hem on the 4 sides, and then I'm going to do a seam. I'm going to seam this together and the other side together. So that is my game plan. Okay, so let me show you how I got what I needed. I measured this side and this side and this side and this depth, which gave me something that looked like that. Then I measured the top depth and width, which gave me a shape that looked like this. This is the fold line where those sides are. So I hemmed all the external edges, and then I put a seam in these 2 edges. I put these 2 together and made a seam, and that is how I'm getting the shape of my box. Does that make sense? I hope it does. All right, let's move along. I haven't used this sewing machine in a really long time. Hopefully it's in somewhat decent working order. We are about to find out. So let's see how this goes. And I'm not doing anything fancy. It's just a plain old little seam, about a 1/2 inch, that I'm gonna run down the edges. Nothing crazy. I am not a big sewer. I know enough to be dangerous. My sewing skills are not anything crazy. I can sew straight lines. I can figure out how to make a pattern. But like simple patterns, like this pattern goes on a box, right? Like this didn't take that much thinking through to figure out how to make it work. This just took like some spatial awareness, really, more than anything else, which I do have in lots of. Being an artist, spatial awareness is kind of a big deal. So I do have spatial awareness, so that's really all that took, was to figure out how to cut this piece of fabric in a way that once it was put together it would fit on this box. Alright, there's one hem. Oh shoot, I didn't have no scissors. I'll be back. Scissors. An important part of this. Okay, so this is where I'm going to sew together to make a seam. So that doesn't need hemmed, but this does. You sit on the table. And this little hem is literally just to keep it from unraveling. This sewing machine is probably, I don't know, 60 years old. It belonged belonged to someone else prior to me. Although I don't think she sewed a whole lot either. In fact, I think the last thing I sewed was a shawl for my daughter for prom. And that's been a while. Okay, now this bottom edge is going to get in a hem. So I'm just going to turn it. Yeah, hang on. I'm going to go back further. Fold this up to where I want it. So, and then turn it. Again, this is not like super fancy. My thread tension's a little tight. You can tell by how that kind of ruffled up. You could pin this. I usually don't when I'm just sewing a hem, especially if it's not something that's critical. Like if this isn't perfectly straight, it is not going to be the end of the world. It's a covering. It's going to be close enough, no matter what, that it's going to do the job I need it to do and look still far more presentable than what I've been currently doing. And I might even put my logo on this using my silhouette. I haven't decided yet. To be fully fair, I haven't used my heat press yet. So the first thing I have to do is learn how to use my heat press. So we might do that today. We might not. I don't know. We'll see. Oh, shit. I'm out of bobbin. I'm sorry. Shoot. I'm out of bobbin. I knew it didn't feel right. Okay. I know to check this before I get started because undoubtedly it's the first thing that is a problem, is running out of bobbin thread. I mean, I'm sewing a total of 6 lines and I've got to stop and wind the bobbin. That's obnoxious. That's plenty. Okay, now I have to rethread the machine. Pull the bobbin. close it. There we go. Back to sewing. We'll start back over top of where we were before. All right, if you wanted professional sewing skills, you're not getting them here. This is just DIY, figuring it out as I go kind of skills, okay? So don't be super impressed by any stretch. And definitely don't also be intimidated by the whole idea, because most of this stuff is not rocket science, right? Like, I know for me, markets are expensive. They just are. They're really expensive. The booth fees are expensive. The setup is expensive. The fixtures and the things you need in order to display your items properly in a way that looks good, that entices customers, all that's expensive. So if you can save a few dollars by buying a piece of fabric, remnant fabric, literally at Walmart. Bought this at Walmart. I got 2 yards of it for $4. So I could make more covers if I needed to. I don't right now, so I don't know what I'll use the rest of it for, but this only took about a half a yard, a little over a half a yard. So like I've got enough of it left over to, if I needed to make another box cover, I could. If I screw this one up, I can make a new one. If I don't know, for whatever, if I just need it for something else. I have extra fabric, that was the point. I don't know that there needs to be more said about that. There's more fabric even. It cost me $4 for 2 yards and I have extra. You always leave your needle in before you turn your project, because it's just easier that way. I don't know, there's probably like an actual rule about that. That's just what my mom always told me, and she's who taught me to sew. So I do what mom said. Because the truth is, mom was usually right. Wasn't she? Most of the time. Just because she's been around longer. She's done it. She's probably, whatever it is, she's probably done it. Okay, so my hem pieces are done. So now I'm going to put a seam. I'm going to sew together this corner and that other corner, and then I'm basically done, guys. Like, this is, again, a quick and simple little project. I'll have a bunch of straggler pieces of thread to cut here in a minute, but we'll do that in a second. Then we'll see how it fits on the box. I do think it's going to fit a little bit bigly, that's a word. A little big, because I know for a fact that I oversized it a little. Some of this massive amount of extra threads off. think I'm going to sew this a little further in on this side just to even out the sides, because like I said, I cut it a little bit large. I also cut this side a little bit more too deeply, so we're going to make up for that as well. Should be done. Oh, hang on. Found some more strings. That looks like a partial box to me. What do you think? Oh, that's like way big. Okay, we're going to take those side seams in just a little. The dog wants it. Okay, so I didn't cut it a little big, I cut it a lot big. So that's okay. I'm just going to adjust these side seams. That's the beauty of this. I can just sew this in further. I'm going to go about there. And I can make it fit a little bit more snug. It's all a process. I think this is going to be the winner. I'm going to call that a winner. It's still bigger than it needs to be, but it's still pretty darn fitted. It looks pretty good, don't you think? And honestly, does it need to be 100% fitted if it works and it sits nicely? Because that was the whole idea. And it sits nicely. I'm happy with it. I'm going to call that a win. So here's my little cover in action. I am going to add some Velcro to it because, as you can see, when the wind blows, it pops up on one edge, and I'm not a fan of that. But this is it at my market. Look how nice that looks on the table. I'm really excited and happy with that. This is the view from the back side. So I have a basket with my bags, my money, a leave, because, well, old people pre-gaming. I do keep a list to track what I've sold so that I know what I need to make, packing material to cushion my little guys, extra business cards, some tape, all the little things that I need just tucks nicely in this little box, and now it has a nice cover. Okay, so you saw me make my own checkout stand cover, and I used it at my market this weekend, and I discovered one little problem. Aside from the fact that it's just slightly oversized on the top, so it doesn't fit perfectly, I'm actually okay with that because it fits still pretty darn well. But the big issue that I found with it is when the wind blows, it picks up the sides. So I'm gonna remedy that problem today with some Velcro. So I'm gonna stick my Velcro pieces to the wood where I know I need them. I want 2 on the top and 1 on each side. Down below, down here. And then I'm gonna put the pieces that are gonna go on the fabric, I'm gonna put them on top of the Velcro, backwards. Maybe I should do it this way. Stick it and then pull it off. And then I'm just gonna position my fabric where I want it. I think that's where I want it. Let me turn it around and look. Yep, that's where I want it on the top. So I'm gonna stick it down good. And then I'm gonna do the same things on the side. So that it will not wiggle at all when the wind catches it. What do you think? I know it doesn't fit perfectly, but it fits pretty darn good, and it still looks a million times more professional than it did before. I still may put my logo on the front. I haven't decided. I need to make a decision is what I need to do. I just need to make a decision. But yeah, so that's that. I think it turned out pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it overall. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope that this gave you some ideas of some things that you can do for yourself for your market booths and, you know, save a little bit of cash on the things that are important, like, I don't know, inventory. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you soon.